Hello and good morning, everybody. Thank you for being here. Thanks for joining us today. This wonderful, wonderful day. Making sure that we are streaming, that the accounts are up. Waiting for Rumble to connect. Is Rumble connected? Rumble should be connected. Yes. D Live is not connected for the 5th day in a row. Perfect. Rumble is working. Making sure that Facebook is streaming. Perfect. We are streaming here. And we are going to tell everybody to join us live on today's program. All right. Perfect. Let's unpack the news, shall we? Broadcasting to you live from the Orion spiral arm of the Milky Way galaxy, the solar system, planet Earth, North America, the United States of America, somewhere in between two formerly tariffed nations. My name is Brian Engelman. Today is Wednesday, April 2nd, 2025, and this is the TNAM AM Show here on the new American media, because the old American media has failed you. Today, we're going to discuss Val Kilmer dead at 65, the legacy left behind. We're going to discuss Wisconsin. What the heck just happened? You tell me the state votes for voter ID and they put in a leftist judge who's going to run roughshod all over that so that illegal aliens, non-American citizens can steal the vote in their state? Why wouldn't the state that just went for Trump big time, the state that just had the GOP convention last year and President Trump has been crushing his first 2 months in office, but then they're going to vote for a leftist judge? How? I don't know, but we're going to unpack some opinions and we're going to take your questions to find out what you think. Is it all on the up and up, or do you suspect some shenanigans and tomfoolery? Also, speaking of shenanigans and tomfoolery, what the heck was happening with the House of Representatives, with the GOP, with Speaker Mike Johnson, Anna Paulina Luna? Why aren't they working? So we're going to unpack those stories and more on today's show. Please hit like, please hit subscribe, however you are watching us. At the bottom of the screen here, we're telling you that the New American Media is on Instagram, Facebook, Truth Social, Rumble, Odyssey, Twitch, Kick, D Live, and YouTube. Just search The New American Media. Also on Signal, we're TNAM and TNAM Chat, TNAM and TNAM Chat on Telegram and Signal. On X, we're at American_media_. And then our podcast is the Agree to Disagree Show on Spotify and Apple. So on the Agree to Disagree Show, we'll put the TNAM AM Show and the Agree to Disagree shows. Make sure you sign up for that podcast. And for anyone who wants to support independent journalism, we are on patreon.com/the New American Media, Venmo at Brian Engelman, Cash App, $ Brian Engelman, and PayPal at Fuzz Installment, scrolling at the bottom of your screen. And of course, for every single episode, for countervailing views, go visit the CDC and WHO websites and CISA.com/rumor control. I say that to you under duress, having just received our first strike in 14 years, 1,800 videos on YouTube. No idea why. They didn't even explain what the problem was. So it is what it is. But we are the new American media because the old American media has failed you. So let's jump into the topics of today's program. We're going to do this by clicking on our Instagram feed. Sign up, link up with the New American Media, please, because we will share these stories and then we will unpack them on the show. This is what we do, the TNAM AM Show. It's like, wake up, grab a cup of coffee. For you, you do the stretch, you settle in, you click the show, and bam, you're here. For me, up at 7, researching stories, digging through the information, watching clips, finding out what's happening. caring for my cats. Got to feed the boys. And yeah, then producing the show. It's weird that I have the glitches that I have on D Live. It won't let me stream. Share this tab instead. It looks like this tab should be working. It connects, but it's not actually working. But that's just what I have to deal with on a daily basis. And then we set up the show today on Restream. Went to the next screen, and then it deleted all the... I had to change the title again. I had to redo all of the conversation again. So this should be super easy to do. And when I say super easy, of course, you need to have a couple decades of experience unpacking the news and understanding how this stuff works and having the ability to be humorous and add some insight and be entertaining and engaging and all of that jazz. But having that skill set, it should be easy to lock and load and go. But it's always a couple wild cards thrown in. You know, doesn't deter me because I'm interested in the news anyway. So if I'm going to find out what's happening, I might as well do that with you. Let's unpack all of it together. How does that sound? All right. Let's talk about this. Elon Musk said, this is according to Autism Capital, I believe someone is going to be arrested tomorrow. I think he put that out yesterday, though, who stole 400,000 Social Security numbers and personal information from the Social Security database and was selling those SS numbers and ID in order for people to steal money. This is a particular avenue of fraud for illegal immigrants and voter fraud. The main way ID is established is via a Social Security number. If you compromise the Social Security system, you can get people registered to vote even if they're not citizens. The Democrats have taken every part of the government that can possibly be bent toward providing financial incentives for illegal immigrants to come to the U.S. and receive benefits like Medicare, Social Security, unemployment, disability, even IRS refunds without income. They've diverted FEMA funds to house migrants in hotels, and that's still active. It's really insane. It's frankly mind-blowing just how much waste and fraud is going on. And that's why they're coming after Elon. So, did anyone get arrested? I don't know.
Shouting.
Yeah, there was this story. Hold on. This was...
Shouting and dancing in court. 4 teenagers put on a shocking display after murdering a 73-year-old grandmother. Just after celebrating her...
Now they have music in the background, and they're going to try to use it to take down this video. Let me just mute it. Doggone it. Laughing and dancing in court. 4 teenagers murdered a 73-year-old grandmother. After her 71st birthday, she parked on the road to take a phone call. And these people stole her car, ripped off her arm, left her to die alone on the street. What was the name of... Here, let me find this story to get the update, because I saw this scrolling. Car theft, arm... Let's see if I can use some keywords. Hold on. So I saw this story and I remembered watching this happen. And it just appalling. Linda Fricky from New Orleans killed in a 2022 March 2022 case. 4 teenagers involved. Cut her arm off as she was dragged by her own vehicle after becoming entangled in the seatbelt. Okay, all 4 teens arrested shortly after. Some turned in by their parents. And they were initially charged with second-degree murder as adults. 3 girls pled guilty to attempted manslaughter, sentenced to 20 years in prison each. Serve at least 15 for being released. The deal came just as jury selection was set to begin for their trial. I mean, This is disgusting. Why would you even take a plea deal? Why would you deal this out? John Hanor, the driver and primary aggressor, did not take a plea deal. After 4-hour deliberation, jury found him guilty of second-degree murder. Okay, so this was recent, January 12 of 24. I haven't heard the update on this case. This is the first I saw it. Sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole after 25. The sister of the deceased called this person a demon who deserved his fate. All right. Well, yeah, this was the story. If you weren't aware of it, this is...
For her life, but instead of letting her go, the teens dragged her out of the car and sped off in her vehicle. Unbeknownst to them, Linda was still tangled in her seatbelt. She was dragged down the street for an entire block, her arm crushed in the process. Witnesses reported that her screams lasted for over a minute before she died alone, in agony and terror. When the 4 teenage killers appeared in court, they shouted, laughed, and even danced, showing no remorse.
I didn't see that in this. Let me ask Grok if they danced in court. I see some of these stories and like my spidey senses tingle a little bit. I'm like, is this? There's no credible evidence or official report indicating the defendants danced in court. All right. I don't know. I'm not finding anything on Grok about it.
They seemed proud of what they had done, knowing that as juveniles they couldn't face the death penalty.
And they might not be eligible. They might be eligible for parole in a few years. Yeah, I don't know. Something about this story was off, but that was a story I did follow. And I don't know who this is supposed to be because the lady died. So I don't know who's supposed to be talking. Something's off about this, but all right, they were arrested. Chad Prather bringing us attention to this story. Rachel Morin, strangled, beaten, and raped by an illegal alien. Victor Hernandez murdered her. He's been a gangbanger, should have never been here. Caught 3 times at the border, but Biden and Harris failed to do their job. And he goes on trial today. I hope he never sees daylight again. Let's look at this one. Victor Hernandez trial. See if this one pops. Have you found yourself using Grok more often to find stories? I do. Good morning, David Ban from Ontario. Thanks for joining us. All right, so 24-year-old from El Salvador destroyed a 37-year-old mother of 5 on August 5, 23. Attacked while jogging in Bel Air, Maryland. Found the next day in a drainage culvert. Suffering severe blunt force trauma. Year-long manhunt in Tulsa, Oklahoma. He was arrested. DNA linked him to this crime scene and a prior home invasion in Los Angeles. These people, see, here's the thing. These people that we're able to get up off the streets, they're not committing one crime. I heard Scott Adams talking yesterday about 100,000. What did he say? How did he do it? 100,000 criminal illegal aliens have been deported since President Trump thankfully took office. And he's like, that's a million crimes saved. You know, on a low end estimate, these people commit crime after crime after crime until they're snatched up. So if that's the case, you just saved 1 million crimes from happening. All right, so maybe it's not 10 crimes, maybe it's 5. 500,000 crimes. This person should have been arrested in Los Angeles. He was busted twice at the border. He should have never been here. That's what I hate so much about this. If there are people that want to seriously become American citizens, if they want to come here and work, you need to go through the front door, a very clear vetting process where your entire criminal history is looked at. If you're messing around in other places, you don't get the privilege of coming here. That's it. And if you're working here and you're paying taxes here and you're not taking from our system and you learn English and you pass the the civil, I don't know, what do you want to call it? Your historical citizenship portion of the test? Yeah, I mean, you could be here on a temporary basis for 10 years or something, and if you keep your nose clean, then maybe you get to stay. But doing everything backward doesn't work for me. And having people come here to abuse our citizens, our Americans, hell no. Yeah, there's animals all over, David. Venue change was denied. Evidence, context, trial. Oh, no, that's different. Oh, Marin's family appeared at the Republican convention. That's just awful. Oh, and her then boyfriend had to deal with that. God, 40 witnesses. Jeez. All right. Well, this one's going to trial. Let's hope that this monster gets what's coming to him. There's my picture of today's image created by Grok. It's Val Kilmer as Doc Holliday. You know, Doc Holliday, that role was one of the best roles in any movie I've ever seen. I'm a bit of a cineophile. Is that a word? Cineophile? It's one of the best movies ever made. And his character particularly, he's badass. He's funny. He's troubled. He's reckless. He's loyal. You know, like at the end of Young Guns. Well, maybe not the end. Well, in Young Guns, where Emilio Estevez is like, pals, as Billy the Kid. Pals. I saw a video the other day that said men don't have friends. They have drinking buddies. Shit. That one hit. That one resonated. I felt that. But like in this movie, Doc Holliday is pals with Wyatt Earp. They are pseudo family. I'm your Huckleberry. Oh, Doc, you're probably so drunk. You're probably seeing two of me right now. It's all right. Got a gun, one for each of you. Such a great movie. So as I scroll through the news, we'll get to some more Doc Holliday stuff. But David, for example, what any favorite movies from Val Kilmer? There's a laundry list. We could do Top Gun. We could do Batman. It's like you almost completely forget he was Batman. There's another question today. Who was the best Batman? Wow. I'm sort of partial to Michael Keaton. He just had a little bit more of that smart ass thing going on. I liked some of that vibe. I don't know. When you're Batman and all you do is this. I don't know how much I love that. That was the Christian Bale one. Is it cinephile or cineophile? Cineophile or cinephile? You spelled it Cinephile, Bella's Chance. Hello, Bella's Chance. By the way, everybody hit like, hit subscribe. If you're watching on YouTube or Facebook where you're allowed to, and you can tap the button, press the thumbs up or the hearts button. It shows engagement on the show. And they're like, oh, people are engaging on the show. We should recommend this to other viewers. And hit subscribe if you're not subscribed. Yeah, Val Kilmer in The Doors. Dude looked just like Jim Morrison in the Forever 27 Club. He sang the songs too, right? I believe he sang the songs. His role in The Doors was incredible. Cinephile. Yeah, I got several movies in my head. I got several drafts written down and bullet points, and I haven't sat and done the script, but I mean, why couldn't I, right? Why couldn't I? One, it probably needs to be done before the others. Although I've recently resurrected with all of these colleges and the defunding and the DEI, I'm reminded of the story. We have a script called Chinese English Teacher. I might just shorten it to English Teacher. My brother went to school where I went to school at Bowling Green State University in Ohio, and he had a teacher that was Bowling Green suffered from a lot of the same woke stuff. They wanted to really push these cultural, I don't know what they called it, cultural diversity or say it's DEI. It was just like males are bad, Christians are bad, America's bad, white people are bad, capitalism's bad. It's like just everything's bad. And all this Marxist, Leninist, communist, socialist nonsense, gibberish. Oh, that's to be that is the peak of society. But my brother had an English class, and his professor, his teacher, was a Chinese person. Actually, now I'm trying to remember if it was a guy or girl. I don't recall. But the accent was so thick. This Chinese person teaching English in Ohio, America, couldn't speak English. Couldn't speak English. He couldn't understand her. It's one thing like, oh, you're from the South. You got quite a drawl there. All right, I got you, though. I'm tracking. This tracks. You know, you could kind of have that hang ten. Yeah, man, laid back surfer thing from the West Coast. You're like, yeah, you know, I get it. You could be hoity-toity from the Northeast. But when someone's accent, it reminds me of when the Indian reporter asked President Trump a question maybe a month ago. And he said, Mr. Trump. And it was hard for me to understand. And as I watched this clip for the first time live, the president goes, I'm sorry, could you repeat that? And he goes, and he goes, I don't know. I don't know what you're saying. I'm sorry. I don't know what you're saying. It's one thing to have an accent from being from another place. It's another where you can't communicate. You're not being there's a lack of comprehension because of your lack of articulation and enunciation. There's some verbiage right there, wasn't it? So yeah, we came up with the script, Chinese English Teacher, but it might be like Facebook. He's like, we're going to call it the Facebook. And he's like, drop the. Just call it Facebook. So I might just call it English Teacher. But I feel like America needs something like the conversation I had with my neighbor in Los Angeles. Black dude, knew him for many years, roughly my age, a little younger than me. And I just remember he was sitting on the back steps one day. We were hanging out and whatever, throwing the football around. We were just hanging out talking. And man, he just started dropping some jokes and stuff on me. I'm like, whoa, bro, you're like going in on these jokes, aren't you? I mean, they were all sorts of offensive, air quote, offensive. But that's what jokes are. Jokes are supposed to take something uncomfortable and make you, okay, that's kind of funny. I don't know. I wasn't supposed to think that or say that or agree, but that was kind of funny. And this dude just unloaded these jokes on me. And he's like, yeah, dude, I don't get it. I don't get why everybody outside of here is so uptight. He's like, dude, we grew up making these jokes, but we joke about white people, Asians, black people, straight people, gay people, old people, young people, Jews, Hindus, Christians, Muslims, atheists. We just make fun of everybody. There's nobody that's a sacred cow. There's no Israel First movement that says, oh my gosh, you cannot dare say anything derogatory about this special protected group of humans. Like you're seeing the national conversation say, well, why is one group of people never allowed to be criticized? Similar to the South Park thing where they're the drawing Mohammed. Oh my gosh, they make fun of Christ every day. Everywhere you look, Christianity's mocked. Oh, but you can't mock that. Okay, yeah, no, that's a special one. Okay. But that conversation was just like we're supposed to have these conversations and tell jokes about everything. So anyway, cinephile. A cinephile, a movie enthusiast. So yeah, on top of Moon Saloon, I've been working on for far too long, and maybe I haven't been working on it enough or dedicated the correct number of hours to just bang it out. Just bang it out. Might need to be rewritten anyway. Yeah, Moon Saloon, English teacher, karaoke the movie. I got a couple of ideas. So I am a cinephile. I've taken the film appreciation classes, moved to Los Angeles. I've pitched TV shows to BBC. I've done all sorts of stuff. But yeah. The first Batman was hard to beat. No, David. Where was the Israeli president born and raised? Was it West Philadelphia? And on the playground, is that where he spent most of his days? Chilling out, maxing, relaxing, all cool and all? Shooting some b-ball outside of the school? And a couple of guys that were up to no good started making trouble in the neighborhood. Victor Hernandez got in one little fight and murdered this lady and says, "You're moving to El Salvador with the rest of your gangbanger buddies." So we'll keep an eye on this story that Chad Prather talked about. This Victor Hernandez, hopefully he can ride the lightning. What state is this in that he's going to get charged? I don't know. Some people say that it's better to keep somebody in prison for life instead of execute them. I don't know. I like the finality of just having that, that demon erased. So here's the real reason why Marine Le Pen was barred for running from office, in case you missed it. Marine Le Pen in France. They're pretty excited, and there is music in the background, so do I have to mute this generic? The French give me one reason, only one, to keep on our territory foreigners who collaborate with a totalitarian ideology that wants the death of the Gotta mute it. It's awful. I want you to binationals connected to Islamist ideology must be stripped of their nationality and expelled. The French who adopt the ideology of the enemy must be brought before justice and punished. The laws exist. They just need to be applied. And well, President, these laws, I as president, will be applied without weakening Gotta mute it. Doggone music. Marine Le Pen trying to stop her nation from being invaded by people from different places with different ideologies to forever transform. She says, in a few weeks, I promise you, France will have taken all the necessary steps to be sheltered from the S-files, and that in total radical mosques will be shut down, hate preachers expelled, the association, Salafism and Muslim Brotherhood will be dissolved. With me, be assured that the rights of women today, challenged by the Islamist obscurantism, will be granted to all the women of France. With me, the security will not go against liberty in any case, not against the liberty of honest people. So, I'll leave a comment. Make France great again. These globalist cucks are selling their countries out to foreign invaders from Central America, South America, Middle East, Africa, China, Asia. Pick your place. They're running out the indigenous people. That's called colonization. I thought colonizing was bad. Sal, what up, brother? There's Sal, buddy. Born and raised in Compton. Wait, you were born and raised in Compton? Did we discuss this? Saying Saudi. Oh, yeah, you spent time in Saudi Arabia. Saudi does public execution. People learn by the numbers. Yes, let them eat cake in France. You know, Sal, there's a place called France where the naked ladies dance. There's a hole in the wall where the men see it all, so they've said. Yeah, me being Engelman, Engelman, I moved out to Los Angeles near Inglewood. Inglewood, always up to no good. That was my hood. Wait, you're saying the Israeli president was born and raised in Pennsylvania? Hold on. Are you talking about Netanyahu or are you talking about someone else? Now, Mexico just put in a Jewish president. What's her name? Scheinbaum? Claudia Scheinbaum? Okay. Anyway, let's get to the other stories here. Wait, you were born and raised in Compton? But you were in Cleveland, then Georgia, well, Saudi. You've been... Sal's been everywhere. Sal, we got to do a show also. We got to start doing a regular unhappy hour show. Maybe we'll set it in the evening. I don't know when. When works best for you? Hit me up on a direct message. Shoot me a text. Netanyahu was born and raised in France or Pennsylvania. Huh. I don't know that I was aware of that. All right. This report from Being Libertarian, according to CNN, Democrats in Congress are down to a 21% approval rating. And I'm going to say 21% is too high an approval rating for Democrats. Period. How could 21% be so backward? It's too high. The rent is too damn high. Anna here says, April Fools aside, the greatest joke is that it's been 1,192 days since Ghislaine Maxwell, Jeffrey Epstein's partner, was convicted for trafficking children to nobody. We cannot coexist with people who think reaping children is unacceptable. Agreed. Real Ben says, if you're unwilling to mention AIPAC, Israeli influence, or general Jewish control over our institutions and culture in any capacity, then it's hard to take you seriously. It's okay if you don't believe all of it, but not to be even a little bit suspicious at this point. Come on, man. I'll tell you, when I moved to Los Angeles and I worked at the world's largest talent agency, I was asked pretty quickly, are you Jewish? I said, not yet. Always a clever quip. Not yet. They said, Engelman. Isn't that a Jewish name? I'm like, I don't know. How would I know? I know my parents. And they're both American from here. I don't know. All right, to be clear, yes, Benjamin. Okay, wait. Sal, you're saying the Israeli leader is Benjamin Netanyahu that we're talking about. Okay, got it. So yeah, I don't like any foreign influence or control, so it needs to be talked about. As for me and my Instagram account, we will mention it all. Mention it all. Well, I can't say that word. Not to be political, but I've never felt more ostracized from society than I do right now that I've stopped being on the left. Man, everything is against you. The medical system, the government, the schooling system, friends, family, all of it, says Paprika. Melina says, we live in a world full of mediocrity and laziness. It's never been easier to stand out than it is now. Take advantage of it. That's shared from the I'm Not Having Fun Anymore 5.0 account. Yeah, don't be average. Don't be mediocre. Put in a little extra energy. I'm excited for I'm excited for the rest of this year. I think there's great things ahead. The potential for great things ahead. And I'm definitely not going to sit back and see what happens. I'm going to be the person that makes this happen. I have irons in the fire. I have connections. I have ideas. And I want to expand this year. I want to do some big things this year. Oh my gosh, we got everybody. We got all the superstars. Kenneth's here. Ben, have you met this Yahoo? Benjamin Netanyahu. Ben, have you met this Yahoo? Yeah, Sal, David, and Kenneth. We got a trifecta of awesomeness. Yes, everybody, however you're watching, hit like, hit subscribe, and please create an account for Rumble and X if you don't have one. Follow the New American Media on Rumble and X because YouTube and Meta are not reliable, honest business partners. They don't monetize, they censor, They flag, they slap your account with restrictions, and they don't let your people see. They don't let our subscribers see our content. Millions of views, 1,800 videos, 14 years, got our first strike the other day. And they can't even point to, 13 minutes and 41 seconds you said this thing, or you shared this story. It's like, grow up. And by the way, if you can't define what I air quote did wrong, that was what did they say? Misinformation or community guidelines, super vague, then remove the strike. There's no such thing. If you can't pinpoint what you're talking, but that's what I deal with. That's why I was suspended from YouTube for a week. Still don't know why. That's what Meta did. They erased my account. Couldn't tell me why. Couldn't explain why. So jump onto Rumble and X, who have not messed with me since Elon took over. And since we started our X account like 2 years, Rumble account 2 years ago, please. This is pretty funny from the Babylon Bee, your hilarious source for comedy here. It says, awkward. Pete Buttigieg returns to the White House from maternity leave. It's like he's been gone for 4 years on maternity leave as a dude.
After that.
Now, I met Jenny McCarthy to say met would be a little much. We passed each other as she left the elevator, walking past me with my hands full of, I had like a box or a couple boxes of stuff. At the talent agency I worked at. My buddy I was with, I'm standing here, he's standing there, the elevator opens, she walks out, and he's holding his stuff, and he holds it with his left arm, and he like points right at her and goes, whoa. And he pointed and said, whoa, and followed as she walked past us. I mean, it's something straight out of 5th grade recess or something, just like. And now, Jenny McCarthy, there's more to this story. Pete, you be the judge. I can't. All right, so Jenny McCarthy, she's here talking about how the government hired a PR firm to smear her when she started talking about vaccines and autism. So while I play this segment, I got to go ahead and act like a child and tell you countervailing views can be on WHO and CDC websites and CISA.com/rumor control. But when she was having what do I say? I've been familiar with Jenny McCarthy and her stance and Jim Carrey and their complaints with the medical system for a long time. I'll just say that. But here she is talking about what she went through. Where's the volume? Okay.
Things kind of got crazy. Not immediately. I had about 6 months of just enormous amounts of parents going, thank you. I'm looked at not crazy now. People kept saying I was crazy. And then I had someone come to my organization, Generation Rescue, and say to me, listen, I was approached by, let's just say, a government agency to be hired. And what I do is I set up PR campaigns to go against the narrative. And I'm telling you privately because I turned them down. But I wanted to give you forewarning that it's happening because they're going to hire someone else. And the only reason I said no is because my child went through the same thing and I didn't want to be part of it. And I was like,
hold on. I have chills all over my body. I need you to tell me that whole thing all over again.
Yeah.
Because the shock almost didn't let everything sink in. And if I'm having that, somebody else is having
This is Maria Menounos.
it.
Yeah.
Someone came to
me in person and said, I basically am a PR agency, a very high echelon one.
And I was at an agency, the world's largest, the highest echelon. And she walked out of the doors right past me, a foot away from me. I had her poster on my wall, man. I had her poster on my wall. Probably have it rolled up somewhere. Where are all those posters? All those posters that made it from high school to college dorm rooms. and just ended up wrapped up with a bunch of. I bet you I could sell some of those. People like those vintage. I love selling stuff. I love selling cool things, vintage things. I'm so vintage. I had her on my wall, man.
And I was approached by a government agency to create a narrative against you, and it's going to be called You're Anti-Vaccine. And I turned down the job, but I wanted to privately and secretly, like, that's why we couldn't do an email, we couldn't do a phone call. I had to come to you in person and let you know this, that they're going to come after you and hard. And I said, well, how are they going to do that when I've clearly said in every interview I'm not anti-vaccine? Like, I'm just telling the story of my child, of what happened and how I'm getting him better. And they said, doesn't matter. He said, doesn't matter. They're going to come after you with everything they've got.
Sounds like they're nervous.
And they've got the media on their side. So this is just a heads up. And I was like, well, thank you very much. And I didn't believe them. I was like, there's no way. Cause I preface it in my book. I've prefaced it everywhere. You know,
you didn't even get scared.
I didn't get scared.
I would have a heart attack.
I know. I didn't get scared.
You know, I see Maria Menounos when I'm filling up my gas at the gas station. She's, hi, this is Maria Menounos talking to you from the gas station. Blah, blah, blah. Did you know about a thing? And I've had the thought about her. It's like, I wonder what it's like to just, you know, I don't want to call Maria Menounos vapid or irrelevant or flaky or anything. Like those aren't exact, but it's just kind of like, you know, you've crushed a great career doing like whatever. I wonder what it's like to not have to get into serious issues. I can't dance around it. When there's weird stuff happening, I want to talk about it. I want to give my opinions. I want to hear yours. I want to ask questions. I want to debate. I'm curious. I guess not everybody's curious. And here she is going there with Jenny McCarthy. She gets, all right, you've leveled up in my book. Maria Menounos. You got to hear Kyle Dunnigan doing Sylvester Stallone talking about Maria Menounos. Seriously, jot it down, pull up a YouTube tab. Kyle Dunnigan, Maria Menounos, Sylvester Stallone, Adam Carolla show. Type those words in, find it. God, that's funny. I want to play it for you right now, but I just, can't.
You know what? When you feel like you have your faith in your corner
And truth.
That's exactly right. So I'm a tough chick. I'm from the south side of Chicago. You know, I've gone through enough. I think I went to an all-girl Catholic school. So, I think it gave me a good armor. So when it started happening, it didn't really hurt me until it started taking jobs away from me. Because I was a single mother, still trying to heal my son, pay for speech therapy, ABA, and cancel. I was the beginning of kind of that cancel culture. It didn't
really. This was, I mean, I'd have to say late 2000s, maybe.
Cancel culture wasn't even a phrase.
It was, though. It was a phrase. But yeah, she took a lot. I remember this, like her and Jim. I know more than I can tell you, so I'll just not talk.
Yeah.
But I would get calls from certain jobs to be like, we're taking you off this campaign. So it was that was the hard part, because I was a single mom. If I was some rich bitch that didn't give a shit, it probably wouldn't have affected me, but it was just the job aspect, because sticks and stones, bring them. I don't care.
Yeah.
But it was that kind of, and so I just heavily relied on still writing my books and not giving up, and still like going, you can try to cancel me, but I'm still going to be here. And now looking back, my son is 22 years old and
Let's do the math. I got a weird little bug flying around here. Let's see if we can catch him. I think I caught him. Swirling in my face, boy. Oh, geez, I had the math. 22. He's 22. So that'd be 03. Geez, I guess then it was even earlier. Maybe 04, 05, 06. I got to LA in 05. All right.
Still here. After that,
All right. Well, anyone protesting that much, you might want to consider the source. You might want to consider why. You might want to consider doing research by going to the CDC and WHO websites for countervailing views, right? And CISA.com, CISA.gov/rumor control. At the bottom of the screen. Not supposed to cancel me. But YouTube does, because YouTube is garbage. They don't explain them.
after that,
When the criminal justice
All right, here's Rogan talking about
When the criminal
justice system with U.S. aid and Mike Benn.
justice system and the judges are rigged and the prosecutors are rigged, you don't even have a country anymore because they can arrest the president. They can arrest the politicians. Yeah. U.S. aid's role with the judiciary in Brazil, specifically against Bolsonaro, who is targeted by these anti-misinformation
populist
actions.
President.
Populist, right-wing, they called him the Trump of the tropics. This is the man that they call the Lord Voldemort judge of Brazil. This is the head of the TSE, the censorship court, which is the subgroup of their Supreme Court. And here you see a seminar that he is being trained in from the U.S. aid program that explicitly set its job to get foreign countries and foreign courts to pass censorship laws. This is USAID funded. CEP's core partner, IFES, this is basically the election strengthening, teaming up directly with Brazil's TSE court. That is the censorship court that shut down X and that seized Starlink's assets and that effectively criminalized the speech of virtually any significant pro-Bolsonaro voice in Brazil. This is our USAID network doing the training, doing the networking. Internews, who we covered, $500 million from USAID every single year in Brazil, doing training seminars for how to flag pro-Bolsonaro disinformation. I can go on and on. I got layers of all these different judges and the pitches to the prosecutors to arrest.
Yeah, Bolsonaro got trumped. Marine Le Pen got trumped. It's madness. It's absolute lunacy.
The whole thing was a USA Truman show taking over the judiciary, or at least substantially influencing and tilted to take out their political enemy, Bolsonaro, the whole way down. When the criminal justice
aware
system
of what's happening out there. Matt Walsh, though, he's got it pretty wrapped up. How about this? In 4 easy steps, how to fix America. 1, you must speak English fluently to vote. I think that's a bare minimum requirement. How are you supposed to navigate a land if you don't know the rules and customs of the land? And yes, English needs to be the national language. You run out of one playbook when you play on a football team. If you can't read the playbook, you're no use. Get out of here. Learn the playbook. Come back when you do, or see you later. So he suggests you must speak English fluently to vote. 2, you must be a U.S. citizen and only a U.S. citizen to vote. So you must be a citizen here to vote, and you cannot have dual allegiances. If you're a U.S. citizen and a Canadian citizen, no dice. If you're a U.S. citizen and a Mexican citizen, no dice. If you're a U.S. citizen and an Israeli citizen, you can't vote. If you're a U.S. citizen and a Ukrainian citizen, you can't vote. If you're a U.S. citizen and a Congolese, is that how you say that? You can't vote. One team. You're signed to one contract. You play for one team. You can't play for 2 football teams at once. Pick your team, and you cannot serve if you're serving another master. America first, America only. That's how I see it. Number 3, you must pass a 5th grade level civics test to vote. I agree. That's basic. And 4, you must not be on any form of welfare to vote. Well, hey, you're supposed to have skin in the game. How are you supposed to get a vote when all you're doing is trying to steal money from successful people? Of course, you're going to vote to steal as much money as possible. It's 2 wolves and a sheep voting on what's for dinner. And why is it virtuous, as Thomas Sowell asks? Why is it virtuous to have greed and envy to steal from another while you call them greedy for wanting to keep what they've rightfully earned? Make that make sense. I'm going to say this is a good list button. I mean, it's pretty good. All right, getting a comment over here on Rumble. Thanks for leaving your comments on Rumble. I love this. Thorad's Scepter 1 says, I liked Val and Willow. He was great in the movie Willow. I will admit, I've seen Willow, but how long has it been since I've seen Willow? Why can't I click this to, oh, there we go. Yeah, so he took over in 94 from Michael Keaton as Batman. So then it went to Clooney after him. Was that it? Yeah, so he was in Oliver Stone's, I always forgot that was Oliver Stone in The Doors. 1991. Val Kilmer. Then he played Elvis Presley in True Romance. God, I haven't seen True Romance in forever. And Doc Holliday in Tombstone 93. So yeah, his role as Doc Holliday, such a badass role, ended up getting him the Batman stuff. Oh, he was in the 1984 spoof Top Secret. I think that was like an airplane knockoff. I've watched that. Hasn't been it's been a long time. Top Gun, of course. And this dude's been in so much. And he did do his own singing as Jim Morrison. Real members of the band said they had difficulty distinguishing Kilmer's voice from that of Morrison's. And I did record his Robbie Krieger, playing guitar in Anaheim at NAM conference. Got a video of that up on YouTube if you guys want to find it. Yeah, so Kilmer co-starred in Willow in 1988. His co-star, Warwick Davis, he gets the most frequent asked question, what's it like to work with Val Kilmer? Very fond memories. And Heat's another one from 1995. That was one of, like, as you saw the clips rolling through the other day, a lot of Heat clips. Will owes me money. I did just see Will the other day. I didn't talk to him though, because he was with somebody who doesn't quite, he's not a member of the, she's not a member of the Brian fan club, I don't think. What is your bubblegum quote from, David? Kick ass and chew bubblegum. Yeah, CDC stands for Can Do Chaos. All right, here's one. April Fool's Day Hall of Fame from Gurr Graphics, Ben Garrison. There was a man so dedicated to April Fool's Day, he flew hundreds of tires into a dormant volcano in Alaska and set them on fire, fooling the local population and Coast Guard into thinking the volcano was active. Now, how about that? You guys, were any of you in the chat victims of or perpetrators of any hoaxes? I'm sorry, of any April Fool's Day stunts, tricks? Heat is followed by AC, yes. Yeah, True Romance. That's the one with what's his face. Who's the lead in that? I can see him. What's that guy's name? What is that? Christian Slater. There it is. Trying to remember what I did. Tricks that I did. Nothing's like jumping out at me as an April Fool's Day prank. But I would try pranks all the time. It's just probably went too far sometimes. I believe I tried to apologize for one of those. You know, kid being a kid, but it was a little too much. But do you have any great prank stories? Did you ever do any great pranks, or were you ever the victim of any great pranks on April Fools? But here's a picture. Realizing April Fools has lost all meaning because nothing can be taken seriously anymore. That kind of feels right. Yep. Ben Geller here saying Wisconsin and Florida, remember, get to the polls because Republicans who stay home elect Democrats. Well, some of that happened. You got a radical leftist judge somehow. We'll talk about it. Bosnia and Herzegovina. Bosnians, can we go to the beach? Croatia. Absolutely effing no. Here's the border of Croatia. It wraps all the way down here into Montenegro, and it blocks them off from beach access. All of the beach is Croatia. I mean, come on. What are you doing there? You're trying to landlock Sarajevo, Bosnia Herzegovina. I've never seen that map before. Sal, do you have any experience with this map? I know Croatia is not next to Saudi, but you know, military guys know maps a little better than I do. Babylon B, sad to report here. British man has been arrested for silently praying for the person who's stabbing him. They are letting violent people back on the streets, and they are arresting people for praying. Europe has probably fallen. I don't know what can fix that. All right, got to mute that. Elon Musk says the U.S. government deleted a terabyte of financial data to cover their crimes, but they don't understand technology, so we recovered it. How wild is that? Oh, Rowdy Roddy Piper, that's the chewing bubblegum and kicking ass. That was from They Live, right? Yeah, that was from They Live. I don't know that I've ever seen They Live. I've seen the clips. He puts on the glasses and it's Obey, and then it's like, whoa, I gotta watch. I got so many movies I need to watch. Today's episode is just reminding me how much I need to watch, that I need to consume more media. So that's good. I gotta consume more media. I can't believe I'm saying something that crazy. So yeah, let's find out what the U.S. government deleted. A terabyte of financial data trying to cover crimes. That's the accusation. Let's see if it plays out that way. Check this out. You know how like the Patriot Act and reverse mortgage and DEI, they're all just like rebranding awful things. Well, Mike Benz here says that they were bribing the Afghan Taliban warlords to keep the drugs flowing. Were you aware of this? That's what the U.S. Institute of Peace payments were for. There we go. Any government institution is most likely to be the opposite of its name. That's accurate. That is so funny. Doge team fought for days to gain access to the U.S. Institute of Peace. Eventually, with help from the FBI and Metro Police, Doge was able to access the agency. They were funding Taliban and Iraqi leaders. That's who deleted a terabyte of financial data to cover their crimes. Agency attempted to scrub the records. Doge recovered the entire archive, thanks to their shocking incompetence with tech. The data reportedly includes detailed financial transfers tied to groups in Afghanistan and Iraq. No word yet from the agency. The Taliban's successful opium ban is bad for the Afghans in the world. Will have negative economic and humanitarian consequences. So I know a guy who was in Afghanistan guarding those opium fields. He told me all about it. That was his job. Afghanistan was definitely about opium and heroin. It's just a mafia. You think you have a government, and it's like, yeah, we're trying to keep the roads, keep things going, and schools and fire departments and police stations, and maybe do an infrastructure and build a building. Normal stuff. That's what we're doing here in government. It's just mafia. Kenneth saying they live was an early warning about lizard people. Yeah. Yeah, what if it turns out? What if it turns out? What if? Hello, ST. How are you? Don't recall you joining the conversation before. Welcome. Thanks. Hit like, hit subscribe, please. ST asking if crimes are discovered. I'm quite sure we'll see them charged, right? Yeah. 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 I'm detecting a hint of sarcasm there. Perhaps rightfully so. Arrests may have or likely been done in secret. I've heard that for years. Yes, I've been sure that they're going to be arresting people, but yet here we are. Ghislaine Maxwell, none of her Johns have gone down, none of the Diddy people, none of the Jay-Z people, allegedly, none of the... Like, what are we even talking about? The Steele dossier, Hillary Clinton, the DNC, Perkins Coie, Russiagate, the FISA warrants, Obama, Biden, Burisma, Hunter. Where are the damn indictments? I'm waiting to see them. But yeah, I knew a dude who served over there. I had conversations with a dude, and it was all about the opium. And that's just disgusting. Ben Geller reporting that Governor Kathy Hochul of New York now plans to mass release thousands of prisoners early, secondary to her firing thousands of corrections officers. Once again, Kathy Hochul is putting rapists and murderers and sex offenders above the safety of your family. What a disgrace. So can we file criminal charges against Hochul for reckless endangerment? It's a good question to ask. Kevin Keeley says, remember Newsom's big pivot on women's sports? Just as I predicted, it was a ploy. He just had the supermajority vote to continue allowing biological males to compete. As a result, California is now under investigation for civil rights violations and could lose federal funding. Did you catch that? They're not protecting girls in sports. They don't care that girls no longer have a level playing field, and it's absolutely ridiculous. Impeach Newsom button. NEWSOM. Oh, there we go. There's an extra M. Yeah, I don't believe anything about Gavin Newsom. He's not convincing me anything with his podcast.
Over 100 communications departments. We have 40 IT departments, 40 HR departments, and on and on. And
the agency is a $1.9 trillion agency. It's completely impossible to govern, to inspire. It's impossible to have a unified vision. That's Secretary Kennedy describing how he plans to shake up HHS. Whew. Even just doing 5 seconds of my Bobby Kennedy impression takes
over 100.
By the way, let's see how much time was spent. ABC, CBS, NBC, CNN, MSNBC. A Turkish student who was arrested, 119 minutes. How about the MS-13 leader who was captured? 11 minutes. So 10 times more about the student versus the MS-13 ringleader. And MS-13 was heavily involved in ruining Los Angeles. Almost like they're allowed to do it. It's weird. Here's the Ghislaine Maxwell trial tracker. Not child trafficking. We're talking trial tracker. 622 days of conviction after sex trafficking kids and 0 clients identified and arrested in the Black Book. That's from Luke Radowski. How about this one? Oh, this is a topic that they want, your countervailing views. Oh, I still have them running at the bottom of the screen, don't I? Oh, you guys are talking about masks and clones out there. Reptiles all around. Oh, man, we're getting into the good stuff. Now we're getting into like the coast-to-coast stuff. By the way, do any of you, Are any of you aware that I was a guest on Coast to Coast AM? A couple of times, I think. Red Pill Truth. Yeah, go to CISA.com/rumor control. Countervailing views. Red Pill Truth says not a single study. There isn't a single study that proves carbon dioxide causes the climate to change, or that anything man does causes the climate to change. There isn't. If there was a study, it would be out there everywhere for everyone to see, but it isn't. All we have is censorship of anyone who questions this one belief. The entire Marxist no-growth movement is based on this false belief being pushed as scientific fact. Money laundering.
And I've been on the forefront.
Here's Representative Gill discussing these judges and how they're trying to take over the country.
That Congress needs to be reining in activist judges. I filed impeachment articles a couple weeks ago against liberal activist Judge Boasberg, who demanded that President Trump turn a plane full of Tren de Aragua terrorists around midair and deposit them back into the United States. That's an egregious usurpation of the president's plenary Article 2 authority under the Constitution to act as commander-in-chief. It's something that I'll continue pushing for, but we've got a variety of remedies that we're pursuing right now in the Judiciary Committee. And I've been on the forefront of saying that.
So yeah, the story.
I've been on the
judges
forefront
running this country are, it's front and center. Donald Trump says judges are just pretending to be judges. They're making the law instead of deciding the law. I don't know why I did that in Trump's voice, because that's Elon's quote. Yeah. Okay. I'm off the rails here. Is it okay to say that I'm off the rails? I'm a little off the rails here. Judges pretending to be judges, making the law instead of deciding the law. In other words, are totally out of control, in complete violation of our Constitution. Make America great again.
San Francisco is launching.
Yeah, how about this? How much are you going to pay for your ticket? Well, it depends.
San Francisco is launching a new speed safety pilot program backed by Democratic California Governor Gavin Newsom, where how much you pay for a speeding ticket depends on who you are. And it's all in the name of equity. On its website, the City Transportation Authority goes out of its way to explain that speed safety cameras will be dispersed across San Francisco in a, quote, equitable fashion. But not everyone will have to pay the same if they get a ticket. Get this. Low-income offenders qualify for steep fine discounts, guys, up to half off. And if you're homeless but speeding in your vehicle, you can get up to 80% discount.
Conventional wisdom has long held that as goes California, so goes the nation. Once, this was a glowing compliment.
Yeah, that is a good question. How does a homeless person even receive a ticket? All right, let's hear the thought.
Now, it's a cautionary tale.
Michael Anton.
If America goes California, it's in big trouble.
Agreed.
This is a strange thing to say because California is as close to paradise as you can get to on this earth.
It used to be, and I will forever consider myself a partial Angelino, a partial Californian. I really grew up there.
Its moderate, temperate
Yeah, can you identify as homeless?
climate is almost unrivaled. It's home to two of the world's best natural harbors. If outdoor recreation is your thing, you can ski or surf, scuba dive or sail, hike in the redwoods or climb Half Dome, all within a couple hours drive. Just about the only thing wrong with California, from a natural point of view, are the earthquakes. But those are infrequent, and their bad effects can be mitigated by sound building practices.
So, anyway.
San Francisco is launching a new...
It makes me sad to see what's happening in California. Let me see if this is a true story. Vox, let me go to Grok. Vox arrested reading names. Is this a real story? This one didn't seem right to me. Maybe it's lacking context. No clear evidence. Spokesman of Vox and a member of the Madrid Assembly read a list of names. Led to an investigation by the National Police for alleged incitement to hatred, though no arrest occurred at that time due to his parliamentary immunity. So there's a post on X claiming the Vox press secretary arrested for hate speech after reading Arabic names of people arrested in Barcelona between March 29th and 30th, the 2025 weekend. These claims appear to lack credible backing and may be misremembering or an exaggeration from the 2023 incident. Or it could have been an April Fool's Day prank. No mainstream sources confirm a recent arrest tied to a specific scenario. All right, so my spidey senses on this story seem to be accurate. But here is the guy reading a list of names.
De los 50 primeros detenidos durante la noche del sábado en Barcelona. Sabar, Omar, Nasim, Abdelkader, Salah, Bala, Younes, Karim, Hamid.
And so he reads this whole list of Arab names of the people getting arrested, causing problems in their country. Okay, so as of now, no, he was investigated because the names were Arabic. I'm sorry, truth is not arrestable. It can't be slander or libel if it's true. And if people are trying to keep you from discussing truth, well,
El listado de los 50 primeros detenidos.
Consider the situation. U.S. Institute of Peace funded the Taliban and Iraqi leadership trying to scrub evidence from transactions from Doge. We covered this. The Mike Benz thing, yes. And there's reports that maybe the heroin was going into Iran. And so the U.S. government was trying to destabilize Iran by getting people hooked on drugs. Sounds kind of similar to what's happening with China flooding Canada and Mexico with fentanyl to come in and kill Americans. So take a look at that. Italian Prime Minister Meloni slams France for banning Marine Le Pen from the presidential election. Quote, according to Raging West, quote, no one who truly believes in democracy can rejoice over a sentence that strikes the leader of a major party, depriving millions of citizens of their representation. And we said, yeah, like in Ukraine, where elections were erased, like Bolsonaro in Brazil, Le Pen, Trump. The playbook has gone pure evil. Have you seen this? Boston Dynamics Atlas robots showing off insane new moves, people. I feel like this music should be royalty free. I want to hear it clacking around on the ground and jumping. But I don't want... Oh, come on. This looks CGI. This doesn't look real. Is this real? These are the robots that are getting ready to take over the universe? A breakdancing robot. People, we're in trouble. Terminator, Rise of the Machines, right? Here's another one that seemed weird. Like, my whole feed today felt kind of weird. Eritrean? What does that even mean? Eritrean. Does anyone know what that word means? Eritrean. Eritrian. Arrest. What was the story here? This one seemed weird. Defense, knife. I'm going to type in the keywords. Defense, knife, trial. Anyway, it says in Germany, a young girl was attacked by an Eritrean man who tried to rob and rip her. She defended herself with a knife and fatally wounded the attacker. Her trial has begun, and she's now facing charges of intentional bodily harm, resulting in death. That doesn't sound right. Question is a bit unclear. Specific incident. Prominent clear cut. Eritrean individual, violent encounter. But this is in 2015. Stands out, posts. All right, yeah, post on X mentions a German girl facing trial for using self-defense. Charges intent. Okay, this flips the roles with the Eritrean as the attacker. Okay. All right, well, here's a story that seems a little off. Is this a real story? Got to search for details. Searched, couldn't find anything. If it comes up, we'll pay attention to it. You got to, like, as you're scrolling and sharing stuff, it is really important that you have your antenna up. Really take in all the information that you can, and before you believe any story is true, just kind of observe it, look at it, read it, see what it's saying, see what it's not saying, see who the source is, and go from there. Here's Jesse Waters talking about, oh my gosh, how Democrats are fighting for these poor, unfortunate MS-13 members.
First, they were fighting for fraud, then for Muslim students who hate Jews. Now they're fighting for MS-13. Today, The Atlantic, the same outlet that accidentally broke Signalgate, came up with a real doozy. The Trump administration mistakenly deported a Maryland dad to a mega prison in El Salvador. The White House says this wasn't a mistake.
This individual was an MS-13 ringleader. This individual was also engaged in human trafficking. And I'm glad you brought up this point again, because I would like to point out that if you just saw the headline from the insane, failing Atlantic magazine this morning, you would think this individual was Father of the Year, living in Maryland, living a peaceful life, when that couldn't be further from the truth.
Did the Democrats call an MS-13 ringleader a Maryland dad? I think they did.
I've heard this story reported day after day. Oh, a Maryland dad, an American from Maryland.
Mr. Kilmer Garcia
snuck
into this country under Barack Obama and was arrested in 2019 in a sweep of high-ranking members of MS-13. What was a Maryland dad doing hanging out with MS-13? Oh, I know, because he's a verified member of MS-13. That's what the Department of Homeland Security designated him as. The judge thought Garcia was so dangerous, he denied him bond because he was a flight risk. Primetime reached out to Homeland Security and they said this: the individual in question is a member of the brutal MS-13 gang. We have intelligence reports that he is involved in human trafficking. Whether he is in El Salvador or a detention facility in the United States, he should be locked up. So the guy Democrats refer to as an innocent Maryland dad is actually a certified MS-13 gang member, illegal alien, and human trafficker. And he's not from Maryland. He's from El Salvador. First,
I got people arguing about due process, this and that. I'm like, well, what's the problem? These people are being taken out. Residents of these other countries illegally in the nation, criminals. Okay. And the response back is just kind of more along the lines of on a college campus. Talking about Hamas. And that we can't trust the government to know if they're citizens or not. And having conversations about concentration camps being locked up by bad people. Yeah. And kind of comparing it to January 6th. Were any illegal aliens wrapped up in that? No. Didn't see that. Eritrea, a country in the Horn of Africa. Yeah, I thank you, Bella's Chance. I have not spent a lot of time discussing Eritrea. It's on my radar now. Here's a reminder from Wyatt. If an NGO shuts down because government funding was cut, it is not and never was a non-governmental organization. Tell all your friends, because some people have not gotten the memo. Mystery Grove Publishing, man, I commented on, I shared 2 of their things in the past 2 days, I think, past couple days. Kyle Rittenhouse trends every 2 weeks. As a reminder that millions of liberals will lie about an incident that was unambiguously captured on video. Then they'll continue lying about it even after a multi-week trial plainly lays out all the evidence that directly contradicts their lies. Remember this? Real question is, why the hell a white child that killed a black man at a protest is being booked for speaking engagements? You know, New York Post, Kyle Rittenhouse chased off the stage and heckled by BLM protesters. Remember that? Pro tip, remember, by the way, it had nothing to do with race. It had to do with people being ridiculous and violent and threatening their city, their community, and their lives. So, misreported. Commie gibberish of the day. Wants to kind of break it down for you and says, the only mistake Mystery Grove is making is assuming that these low engagement, low IQ people have any information about the Rittenhouse case at all. 80% couldn't tell you a single fact about the case. They followed a TikToker who posted that image of Kyle face crying badly. They called him fat and they called him racist. And the case was over. He got called racist and it stuck on gay brat TikTok. Verdict concluded. Kyle Rittenhouse is a racist who killed black people. It doesn't have to be true if everyone you know thinks it or has never thought about it at all. That's the dangerous thing about telling stories. That's why I try to be a little extra careful when I'm reading these reports and in Eterian. What's Eterian? What's that place called? Vinovich? What's that called? Where'd that chat go? Eritrea. I don't know. Something seemed off and I wanted to figure it out. All right. Glenn Beck talking with Eric Bolling, two former Fox people, both escaped. Talking about Social Security benefits and what is wrong about this.
Just found, Elon Musk and a couple of his partners of Doge found that millions of illegals have been on Social Security, at actual Social Security numbers. Take a listen to this.
This is what jumped out at us. When we saw these numbers, we were like, what is this? In 21, you see 270,000 people, goes all the way to 2.1 million in 24. These are non-citizens that are getting Social Security numbers.
Yeah, this is a mind-blowing chart.
Yeah, just this literally blew us away. Like, we went there to find fraud, and we found this by accident. And this isn't political, by the way. My parents are immigrants. Yeah, this country's been great to us. My brother and sister are all born in Spain. I'm pro-legal immigration.
And if there's a path for legal immigration where people get in line and they do the background checks and they're pulling their own weight and they're paying taxes and they've learned the language and they've passed the civics test, I got some room for people like that. I do not have room for gate crashers. No gate crashers.
This is not political. This is not political. This is about America and the future of America.
Man, Glenn, it is absolutely scary what they're finding, and the Democrats still are pushing back on all the things. Those, your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't understand. I don't understand people who are pushing back on this stuff. I mean, how is this right in any way? You know, I heard somebody explain, well, they're actually, you know, these people are paying into Social Security, but they're not going to get any benefits. Well, first of all, I don't know if that's true. But second of all, wait a minute. So you're then, because you're ripping one of us off then. You're either ripping us off or you're ripping off the people that are here illegally and you're making them pay into a system that they're never going to get. I mean,
thank you. Thank you. It is about time that was articulated in that way. Oh, no, these people, they pay in. They never get anything out. So why are you exploiting them for slave labor? No. We want a pathway for citizenship, so they're going to get it. Okay, so you're lying to me about them not getting benefits because the goal is for them to get benefits. No.
It's wrong either way you look at it. And I don't understand this world where we pick sides based on who the first one is to say it. You know what I mean? Did Donald Trump say it or did Joe Biden say it? Well, because I got to know, because that way I know which side I'm on. No, there are guiding principles, and this is wrong no matter who you voted for. And I don't get this world that the Democrats are living in, where they're just against whatever Donald Trump is for or anything that Elon Musk is doing, when it's a lot of the stuff that they championed. Help me out.
Yeah, no, I can't. And they've used the analogy on the show a lot. If Trump came out and said, I love oxygen, and Elon Musk says, we're going to look for all the waste of oxygen, Democrats would be like, no, we're against oxygen. We hate we don't want any part of oxygen.
It's true.
Those is fine.
It is ridiculous what these Democrats have stooped to. Ted Cruz talking about what the Democrats are championing now. We need more designated terror criminals back in American soil.
Explain why somebody like Jamie Raskin would want to bring back Tren de Aragua gang members that were deported out of our country, that are known, they're designated, foreign terrorist organization, domestic when they're here. Why would he want to bring them back? And if he wants to bring them back, do you think he'll invite them over for dinner and to stay over at his house?
It is unfortunately where today's Democrat Party is. They've gotten so radical and so extreme on border issues. We saw for 4 years of Joe Biden wide open borders, 12 million illegals coming across the border. Every single day, another American was killed, another American was raped, another child was assaulted. And Joe Biden and the Democrats refuse to do a thing about it. I've never once seen a Democrat go so far as to mention Laken Riley's name, as to mention Rachel Marin's name, as to mention Jocelyn Nungari's name, and yet they get all worked up that we got to bring back these gang members who have long criminal records. You look up in Massachusetts right now. In Massachusetts, the state courts are releasing criminals who committed violent child rape. They're releasing.
Why is anyone releasing a beast into your streets? Anyone?
Them rather than turn them over to ICE to be deported. Now, Sean, who in their right mind says, you know what our community needs is more child rapists? Well, that's where today's Democrats are.
Can you explain?
That doesn't make sense. Why can't we charge Democrats with reckless endangerment and treason? What is the problem? What is taking so long? Mindset of the Aware is claiming that Argentina's President Javier Milei is set to form an alliance with President Trump, Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, Hungary Prime Minister Viktor Orban, and others. Yeah, so that would be a real life Avengers squad forming behind Trump in MAGA. That's pretty cool. We need more leaders like that globally. Common sense ones. And here you go. Democrats voting against Bill AB 89, presented by Republican Kate Sanchez, that would have protected girls in sports.
I respectfully ask for your aye vote on AB 89. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have a motion? Yes. So moved by Vice Chair. Is there a second? Second. Second by Mr. Gonzalez. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
AB 89, the action is due pass to the Committee on Education. Ward?
No.
Lackey?
Aye.
El Hawari? Gonzalez?
Aye.
McKinner?
No.
Ortega?
No.
Quirk Silva?
No.
Rivas?
No. Anyway, imagine voting no to protect women in sports. Vote every Democrat out. They're also voting no, 213 Democrats, on more money going back into your pocket.
213 Democrats voted no on no tax on Social Security and no tax on overtime. These are the same people that claim to be for the middle class and for the lower income people.
Hint, Democrats are not for middle class or low income people. They lie to you.
Any Democrat that is still backing these motherfuckers up, I have no fucking words. Like, I do actually. I have words. Go back to school, because the education they gave you taught you fucking nothing.
Democrats hate you. Marine Le Pen sentenced to 4 years in jail and banned from holding public office because she's too popular. Remember? That's what they did to Trump and Bolsonaro. Oh, remember when Zelensky banned his opposition so he couldn't lose? Remember what J.D. Vance said just a month ago?
The threat that I worry the most about
vis-a-vis Europe is not Russia, it's not China, it's not any other external actor. And what I worry about is the threat from within.
I worry about the threat from within because there's random background music playing, and we'll see if YouTube flags this video for copyright.
The retreat of Europe from some of its most fundamental values, values shared with the United States of America.
But if they don't share the same values as America, then I think our alliance with them has to be brought back into question. How can you be buddies and partners with someone that's so backward?
Now, I was struck that a former European commissioner went on television recently and sounded delighted that the Romanian government had just annulled an entire election.
Georgescu, that's the other one. It's happening everywhere, but very few people have the FU money to fight back like Trump did. And even though he fought back, they tried to explode him in Butler, Pennsylvania, because those people are demons. And they just want you to have the worst life possible while they can have it as easy as possible.
Now, these cavalier statements are shocking to American ears. For years, we've been told that everything we fund and support is in the name of our shared democratic values. But when we see European courts canceling elections and senior officials threatening to cancel others, we ought to ask whether we're holding ourselves to an appropriately high standard. And I say ourselves because I fundamentally believe that we are on the same team. We must do more than talk about democratic values. We must live them. The threat that I worry the most about...
We got to live these values or else we're going to lose them. Here's Val Kilmer. Yeah, I need to go back and watch Heat. I have watched it, but it's been a while. Rest in peace, Val Kilmer. And there's Pacino running. That's why you make movies. You leave a legacy behind you. I want to binge some of these movies now. Catherine Herridge, breaking. FBI imposed a gag order about the Hunter Biden laptop after an employee accidentally confirmed its authenticity to Twitter. Newly released internal FBI chat messages reveal senior bureau officials actively shutting down discussion of the laptop's credibility just days before the 2020 presidential election. A Catherine Herridge and Schellenberger joint investigation. An FBI official admitted to House investigators that an FBI employee inadvertently confirmed the authenticity of Hunter Biden's laptop to Twitter on a conference call the morning of October 14, 2020, the day the New York Post published a story about it. I recall that when the question came up, an intelligence analyst assigned to the Criminal Investigative Division and something to the effect of, yes, the laptop is real. The then Russia unit chief testified in a closed-door transcribed interview. I believed it was an OGC, Office of General Counsel, attorney assigned to the Foreign Influence Task Force stepped in and said, we will not comment further on this topic. For the first time, and with a change of administration, the FBI has now turned over to GOP House investigators the internal chat messages that show Bureau leadership actively silencing its employees. The FBI, which had a special task force to counter foreign election interference, could have set the record straight by confirming the laptop was real and the subject of an ongoing criminal probe. Instead, FBI leadership allowed the false narrative about the laptop to gain momentum. The FBI provided the chat messages to congressional investigators with heavy redactions. Some of the redactions on the chats are marked OGC, AGC, which appears to mean that they were made by the FBI's Office of General Counsel and Associate General Counsel. An individual whose name is blacked out tells Elvis Chan, San Francisco-based FBI special agent tasked with interacting with social media companies, there was a gag order on discussion of Hunter Biden's laptop. In a separate exchange, Chan is told official response, no comment. In the chat, the FBI officials showed awareness that the laptop may have contained evidence of criminal activity. Asked Chan, actually, what kind of case is the laptop thing? Corruption? Campaign financing? Another FBI employee responds, close hold. After which the response is redacted. Chan responds, oh crap, appearing to underscore the serious nature of the probe. which included felony tax charges. Chan adds, okay, it ends here. In the same conversation, Chan is asked, is anyone discussing the New York Post article on the Bidens? Chan responds, yes, we are aware. CD confirmed an active investigation. No further comment. CD is likely shorthand for the FBI's criminal division. Said another FBI employee whose name was redacted by the Bureau, please do not discuss Biden matter. We asked for a response from the Bureau, and the FBI employees identified in the chat messages. FBI spokesperson declined to comment. FBI imposed gag order about Hunter Biden laptop. That is called election interference. The FBI said it didn't interfere in the 2020 election, but it did. It tricked Twitter and Facebook into censoring the Hunter Biden laptop story. I was censored. My accounts were deleted. I lost my Instagram page and had to rebuild it. Or no, I lost my New American Media page on Facebook. I lost my groups and I lost my personal profiles. So fuck you, Meta, and fuck you, Twitter. I got caught up in this by reporting on what was actually happening. Time and time again, I've had my career sidelined, sidetracked, and pushed down the memory hole for the crime of being accurate. Now, newly released chat messages show the FBI issued a gag order after an employee accidentally confirmed the laptop's authenticity. I shared a picture of Hunter Biden in those glasses and his tighty whities, and they said I was engaging in, what did they say? Exploitive material. I was showing you what the son of the president was up to, putting himself in completely blackmailable, compromised positions, doing disgusting, deviant behavior, such as when Joe Biden was accused of inappropriately showering with his daughter, Ashley. And they silenced me. They muted my account. They suspended me on Facebook. They said I was being exploitive. I said, this is a fully clothed dude. You're not seeing any twig and berries. He's clothed. He's wearing a swimsuit. And he's also on camera abusing how many of these prostitutes, all these hookers, and the drugs. That's where the abuse is. And I'm calling it out, so you shut me down because I'm pointing out all the crimes on that laptop? Oh, we don't hate these people enough. Let me see if I can get to... where did the third one go? I guess that's the third one. There we go. Because here's another story. I've seen this quote a couple of times. What's a meta? What's a meta? I'll tell you what's a meta. There's a lot of things that are meta. There's a lot of meta things. Wait, I didn't say it right that time. What's the meta? You asked me what's the meta? I'll tell you what's the meta. All right, so I've seen this quote attributed to Kash Patel. So let's ask Grok. Kash quote. How is this quote phrased? Proof she set the whole thing up. I believe there's proof she set the whole thing up, Pelosi. And she did. It does seem to point that direction, at least. Go to CISA.com/rumor control. CISA.gov/rumor control. Grok is searching, can't find anything. Kash made numerous statements alleging Pelosi and other Democrat leaders were complicit or failed to prevent the events of January 6th. When he was on War Room with Steve Bannon, by the way, I did get to report, and they did use some of my footage on Steve Bannon's show that night when President Trump was in the Bronx speaking. He claimed Pelosi rejected National Guard support prior to the riot, implying negligence or orchestration. For example, Kash Patel said things along the lines of Nancy Pelosi was in charge of Capitol security. She turned down 10,000 National Guard troops, suggesting she allowed the chaos to unfold for political gain. However, there's no direct verifiable quote from Kash explicitly stating she set the whole thing up in those exact words. His accusations tend to lean on the narrative that Pelosi's inaction or decisions as Speaker of the House amounted to a setup, rather than providing concrete evidence of a premeditated plot. The claim about rejecting National Guard troops has been debated. Pelosi's office and Capitol Security have countered that, saying she didn't have unilateral authority over such deployments, which fall under the Capitol Police Board and the Pentagon. So this quote might not be accurate, says me. But now we know it. Grok, angry. Here's a nice little note from AF Branco. He's a good cartoonist. He says, they're fixing America, and most of you are too stupid to appreciate it. DC Drano says, Biden forced vaccines into our soldiers. He forced them into nurses, firefighters, and cops. He forced them into students and small children. Then he denied religious exemptions to all of them. Not a single federal judge stopped him. But when Trump tries to deport MS-13 cartel thugs, suddenly these judges want to intervene? That's a judicial coup. Man. Keir Starmer saying there's no money for British pensioners, but they do have money for
the elderly to save money.
Zelensky.
We have found a £22 billion black hole in the economy, and we've got to fix it. What we're not going to do is pretend it isn't there or paper over it. That's what the last government did, and it made it worse. That means we've got to make tough choices. I don't want to cut the winter fuel allowance. I don't think anybody government wants to do that, but we've got to fix the foundations of our economy. And that's what this is all about, making sure that we fix the foundations, and then having done that we can build a better future that pensioners and so many other people voted for.
So many other people.
In this election. So this is a tough decision. Not a decision I want to make, but I'm absolutely determined we'll stabilise the economy and fix the foundations. And then on that, we will build the better Britain that we were elected into government with a strong mandate to bring about.
Why are you?
That's the weirdest thing. It's the weirdest thing to betray your people and money launder elsewhere. What type of blackmail or bribery could people have to cause them to do such? How could you be wired so backward? Here's Elon talking about the 400,000 stolen Social Security numbers.
Said the other day you uncovered some evidence that there was massive Social Security fraud and that arrests were imminent.
Yes.
What can you tell us about that? And what can you tell us about what you've seen politicians do to make massive amounts of money off of the federal government, like Nancy Pelosi? Please.
Yes. So we've encountered, there's really so much for it. It's deciding what should be prosecuted first, because it's such a long list. You have to actually prioritize the list. We convey the list to the Department of Justice. The DOJ has a process that they go through to review and think about it. The wheels of justice turn slowly. In fact, obviously, I have a maniacal sense of urgency. So to me, when I see that terrible fraud has happened, I'm like, why haven't we arrested someone already? But as the saying goes, the wheels of justice turn slowly but surely. And I think probably the person that stole 400,000 Social Security numbers, at least, maybe more, will be arrested hopefully this week. With respect to the non-governmental organizations, these sort of fake NGOs, I think there needs to be a number of arrests in that regard as well, because these are fake charities where mostly Democrats, I don't want to be clear, there's sometimes a little bit of Republican in there, because they sometimes throw the Republicans a bone to say, hey, be quiet about this. So that's where you start getting the uniparty thing going on. But it is overwhelmingly to Democrats, and they give give billions of dollars to NGOs run by Democrats that then go through a whole network of additional NGOs. It's a giant money laundering scheme. Really, at this point, I think the word NGO and money laundering are almost synonymous.
Synonymous, people.
You said.
Pam Bondi saying this case represents the ruthless murderers, rapists, and pedophiles who Joe Biden and Democrats led into our country over the past 4 years through our southern border on the horrific killing of the Georgia mother. Oh, man. So angry. This meme says, I've never seen a party work so hard to remove a president, but not drug dealers, child traffickers, or illegal immigrants. Agreed. Here's another contradiction. So the guy who collaborated with actual Nazis is paying people to call Elon Musk a Nancy? Am I doing this right? It's hard to keep track. Oh, here's a picture. Abraham Lincoln, Ronald Reagan, JFK, and Martin Luther King. It says all stood up to Democrats and all were shot. Huh. Something to think about. Here's a nice reminder. We definitely got banned for saying this, which was obvious. Here, let's put the countervailing views. Go to CISA.com. Is it CISA? Hang on. CISA.com/rumor control? I think it's gov. Yeah, it's CISA.gov. America's Cyber Defense Agency. Yeah. I do have to change that. Let me change that in the tag here. Yeah, they do love oppression, David, don't they? Let's remember what Jon Stewart said to CIA agent Steve Carell.
Oh my God. If there's evidence, I'd love to hear.
Stephen Colbert, I mean.
There's a novel.
If there's evidence, I'd love to know. Shut up. You know exactly what's going on and you're lying about it.
Respiratory coronavirus overtaking Wuhan, China. What do we do? Oh, you know who we could ask? The Wuhan Novel Respiratory Coronavirus Lab. The disease is the same name as the lab. That's just a little too weird, don't you think? And then they ask the scientists, they're like, so wait a minute, you work at the Wuhan Respiratory Coronavirus Lab. How did this happen? And they're like, a pangolin kissed a turtle. And you're like, no, the name of your lab.
Is this going to get flagged for? We're commenting on what the commentary is. The name of your lab has it in the. How are you trying to pretend this was something natural and organic? It's right outside your facility.
If you look at the name, let me see your business card. Show me your business card. Oh, I work at the coronavirus lab.
Yeah, but it's all just a coincidence. If we talked about the lab release theory, don't call it a lab leak theory. Don't call them the mainstream media. Call them the lying legacy media. If we talked about the lab release theory, we were silenced. We were censored. We were shadow banned, demonetized, erased.
In Wuhan. Oh, because there's a coronavirus loose in Wuhan. How did that happen? Maybe a bat flew into the cloaca of a turkey and...
That is what it felt like trying to unpack and decipher the news of that COVID era.
Then it sneezed into my chili, and now we all have coronavirus. Like, come on. Okay, wait a second.
What about this? Jon Stewart's commitment to this gag is great. Hershey, Pennsylvania.
What about this? Listen to this. Oh my God. There's been an outbreak of chocolatey goodness near Hershey, Pennsylvania. What do you think happened? Like, oh, I don't know, maybe a steam shovel mated with a cocoa bean. Or it's the chocolate factory. Maybe that's it.
Anthony Fauci and Francis Collins at NIH have said, like, this should definitely be investigated.
Don't stop with the logic and people and things. The name of the disease.
The name of the disease.
Wait a second.
The building.
Wait a second. Possible that they...
Look at him running interference. Look at him looking down and looking at his notes. Says, well, if you have evidence, I'd love to hear it. Now he's disputing it, saying, well, Fauci and the NIH said that's not true. He's running cover for the deep state. They're trying to pretend like all hell, like they didn't unleash this on us intentionally.
Have the lab in Wuhan to study the novel coronavirus diseases because in Wuhan, there are a lot of novel coronavirus diseases because of the bat population.
Oh, my goodness. Look at this twisted logic trying to torturing the language to make that happen.
There.
I understand.
It's like the saying,
it's
like,
a
wait a
local
second.
specialty, and it's the only place to find bats. You won't find bats
No, but it's
anywhere
like
else.
saying,
oh,
why-
wait, Austin, Texas has thousands of them that fly out of a cave every night. Every night at dusk. Is there an Austin coronavirus? No, it doesn't seem to be an Austin coronavirus. The only coronavirus we have is in Wuhan,
Yes.
where they have a lab called, what's the lab called again, Stephen?
What is it called again?
The Wuhan Novel Coronavirus Lab.
I believe that's the case. This is the problem with science.
And it's so good because I've played this clip, the shortened clip, but there's so much more to this. The problem is
Science is incredible, but they don't know when to stop, and nobody in the room with those cats ever goes, yeah, I don't know if we should do that.
I agree with you. If science can do it, they will do it.
They will do it. They're like, oh, curiosity killed the cat. Oh, okay, well, let's kill 10,000 cats to find out why. That's what
man, that is. And Fauci, he was getting up there with the beagles, right?
science does. They push things. Can I say this about science?
You
And I
can say
this-
anything you want about some of my best friends are scientists.
And I love them, and they do such good work.
Such good work, but
they are going to kill us all. Here's how I believe the world ends.
I mean, this was the plot of The Stand by Stephen King.
The world ends. The last words man utters are somewhere in a lab. A guy goes, "It worked." Oh my
if there was
God!
evidence, I'd love to hear it.
There's
I just don't know.
a novel.
That was fantastic. If you haven't seen that, I really hope you enjoyed that clip. That was at the height of the COVID insanity in 2021. And it's one of the best clips you'll ever find. Just as a reminder of what's going on. All right, what is this one? Maryland dad is the Salvadorian.
Jesse, you and I have never received in our lives as much positive press
I know.
as this MS-13 gang member has received. We couldn't get headlines like that if our lives depended on it.
Yeah.
So let's just go over the facts here. He is an illegal alien. Fact one, what do you do with illegal aliens? You deport them. Fact two, he's an MS-13. What do you do with illegal aliens who are also in a transnational terrorist organization? You deport them more quickly. Oh, and on top of that, he's implicated in human trafficking.
Gross.
Deport, deport, deport. This is who they're going to bat for. What are we supposed to do? Buy the guy a house, get him some free health care?
Yeah.
Maybe let him run for Congress?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. You're supposed to do all of those
I mean,
things.
this is who this is the Democrat Party. This is who they stand for. This is who Cory Booker stands for in 2025. They stand for illegal alien predators that are in transnational cartels. That's the Democrat Party of today. We will win this fight all day, every day. Jesse, you and I have never received in our lives.
Yeah, I wish I could have half of the good media coverage that guy got. Hey, remember the COVID stuff when they lied to your face? Remember Trudeau? Just don't forget. Here you go, back to back.
Any vaccine we distribute to Canadians will be safe for Canadians. You know, our people who've probably gotten very sick from vaccination. There's no more excuses to not get your shot. Well, individual.
Oh, are we still playing the countervailing views? Yes, go see countervailing views.
Individuals are allowed to make their own choices. There may be all sorts of different reasons why someone is hesitant to get vaccinated. Enforcement measures in place will make sure that everyone is vaccinated. And therefore, while not forcing anyone to get vaccinated, travelers across the country need to be fully vaccinated. People coming into the country need to be fully vaccinated. I chose to make sure that all the incentives were there. Don't get to work in the public service, don't get to go to movie theaters or gyms or restaurants, to encourage Canadians to get vaccinated. And that's exactly what they did. We got vaccinated to a higher level than just about any other of our peer countries. Any vaccine we distribute to Canadians.
Never forget what these people said to you, what they did to you. Donald Trump talking about the election in Wisconsin. He said voter ID is just approved in the Wisconsin election. Democrats fought hard against this, presumably so that they can cheat. This is a big win for Republicans, maybe the biggest win of the night. It should allow us to win Wisconsin like I just did in the presidential election for many years to come. But yeah, how did that win by 24 points? But the candidate who literally called voter ID draconian and worked to block it, how did they get elected by plus 11 in the same state? Not saying it's fraud, but that just doesn't make any sense, says Skylar the Patriot. Where'd it go? Where'd the story go? Okay, we're back.
What if you've changed position on what?
Because Congresswoman Hageman.
What happened in the 2020 election?
Oh, I think it was rigged.
You think it was rigged?
Yeah, I know more now than I did then.
What do you
All you
know?
have to do is in February of 2021, there was a Time magazine article that was published.
This is where they called it fortifying the election.
And it was about Mark Zuckerberg investing $500 million in a get out the Democrat vote campaign. And they focused on the swing states, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Georgia, Arizona. And they focused, and what they did is they basically did what I would refer to as agency capture. And they
agency capture
went in and they captured the county clerks.
She's telling the truth and said, this is how we're going to do the elections now. How did they get that kind of control?
And the secretaries of states in these states. And they basically said, we have a get out the vote campaign program. And if you will implement it exactly the way that we say that you must implement it, we will give you massive amounts of money to run your elections.
Mm-hmm.
But if you do not run it the way that we say, then we can claw all that money back. Well, think about it. If you're a small county in Wisconsin and you get $300,000 from Mark Zuckerberg's foundation to make sure that there are drop boxes in your Democrat heavy areas, that there are that you've got an RV going around and hauling people into the polling places to vote. When you do that, if you do not carry out, you take that money, you sign that contract, and you do not do exactly what that foundation said,
then you are on the hook.
You were going to have to use public money to pay it back. You most likely would have ended up in prison. I mean, that's just one example of the way that the election was rigged. The Mark Zuckerberg money was huge. $500 million concentrated in Democrat counties for the purpose of getting out the Democrat vote.
How do you
swing states, swing counties?
You know, it was to get the Democrat vote out, because how does it exactly do? What are the mechanics of that?
You look at the demographics.
Have to read the article and what the article.
Yeah, they talk about fortifying the election. Time magazine did the wag the dog where he wanted the credit. They wanted the credit. No, you can never tell this story. Well, I know I can't now, but when I can. No, you will never be able to tell this story. And they have to off him in that movie because he was too concerned about his credit. That was the Dustin Hoffman character.
Does is it lays it out, and the title is something along the lines of how a secret group of people were able to save the 2020 election, meaning how were they able to get Joe Biden elected.
Keep it in mind. Schellenberger reporting, the former head of the UK's foreign intelligence agency MI6 told Boris Johnson in early 2020 that the COVID virus escaped or was released from the Wuhan lab. That means the US, the UK, the Chinese, and German governments all knew the truth. They covered it up and they spread disinformation. Case closed. Labor minister rubbished spy chief's secret dossier on Wuhan lab leak theory during the pandemic, despite Boris demanding probe to avoid offending China or to cover up that you did it on purpose. It's all coming out. Banshee says the claim by a federal judge that the U.S. military can't set physical admission standards is genuinely insane. I don't know, but when lower court judges are quoting a Broadway show to support nationwide usurpations of constitutional executive power, maybe that's a problem. Stephen Miller, unelected rogue judges are trying to steal years of time from a 4-year term. It's the most egregious theft one can imagine, robbing the vote and voice of the American people. Any conservative legal commentator who fails to condemn this lunacy has lost all credibility forever. Oh no, says Logan Hall. A leftist judge says we can't deport violent illegal gang members from our country. Looks like we'll have to be filing an appeal to heaven. So what other military policy can a judge override? This is dangerous. Libs of TikTok say U.S. District Judge Anna Reyes, who was appointed by Joe Biden, just ruled that the Pentagon can't enforce President Trump's order banning transgender people from serving in the military. Senator Mike Lee. So Benny Johnson reports federal judge orders Elon Musk and Doge to reinstate U.S. aid. That was a couple weeks ago, though. The unelected, unaccountable federal bureaucracy is fighting tooth and nail to live off your tax dollars. Matt Walsh says, I don't want to give the Statue of Liberty to France, but I do think we should remove that dumb poem about the huddled masses and send that to them. They can attach it to the Eiffel Tower or something. America is not an international homeless shelter. Logan Hall, you don't get to deliberately flood our country with tens of millions of illegal aliens and then whine about due process and rule of law. Sorry, those days are over. Sean Davis says, interesting admission here that multiculturalism and free speech are incompatible. Cauldron Pool, here's the quote, Australians don't have the same freedom of speech laws that they have in the United States. And the reason for that is we want to hold together a multicultural community. When did Australians choose to trade their freedom for multiculturalism? Hint, they didn't. Trump's dismantling of Voice of America could lead to the dominance of anti-American propaganda, says director. Oilfield Rando, gosh, if we're not careful, statues of the founding fathers might get torn down. Yeah. Reporter asks, the Alien Enemies Act has only been invoked during times of war. Do you feel you're using it appropriately right now? Trump says, this is a time of war. So anyway, just more about the jurisprudence or lack thereof. Elon recovered the technology we covered. Here's a message about Zelensky.
Zelensky, by the way, I see he's trying to back out of the rare earth deal. And if he does that, he's got some problems, big problems. We made a deal on rare earth, and now he's saying, well, you know, I want to renegotiate the deal. He wants to be a member of NATO. Well, he was never going to be a member of NATO. He understands that. So if he's looking to renegotiate the deal, he's got big problems. Zelensky.
We'll see how this plays out. They just blew up a limo that could have been something Putin was on. I think they're still attacking energy grids. Joey Manarino says, one positive takeaway from last night's result in Wisconsin, 65% of the state voted for voter ID. That is in the same election where a Democrat won the seat for the Supreme Court. What that means is even Democrats support voter ID. There is no longer an excuse for national Democrats to not support voter ID. Their people back it. How does anyone vote Democrat? Carrie Lake.
Carrie, I know that you work really closely and particularly with the Doge team. And there's this narrative out there right now that Elon Musk is this out of control tyrant. Have you found that to be the case at all?
I find Elon Musk to be a really kind-hearted, generous, charming person with great charisma. Believe it or not, you know, you wouldn't expect that because he's so brilliant. You would think that having a conversation with him would be difficult. He's actually incredibly interesting. And more than that, the entire Doge team that I'm working with, and we just brought an additional Doge member on, are hardworking, not particularly political. Many of them don't really even care about the politics of it. They're just problem solvers. They want to get to work. They realize the problem is our country is out of control when it comes to spending. We cannot continue on. We're bankrupt. The government has gotten so big it's unmanageable. And if we do not scale it back, we will not exist. We got a victory in November, and we got President Trump in again. And thank God for that, because he wanted to help turn the corner and get America back on track. But if we do not cut spending and do so quickly, we will not have a republic. No matter how incredible President Trump is, we have to cut spending. We can't keep spending this way. Doge is helping do that. They don't care Republican, Democrat. They care about saving America. And that's what I've found from my experience. And I work with 4 people with the Doge team, and I'm thrilled to have them on my team because we are absolutely saving taxpayers tens of millions, eventually billions, and then trillions of dollars.
Yeah. Carrie Lake, so good to have you on this evening. We'll do it again soon. Thank you.
And please unpack what's going on in Arizona while you're at it. Yep, here it is. Val Kilmer's best role.
Well, I didn't think you had it in you.
He's a good nemesis here. I didn't think you had it in you. Well, there's like the sheer look of terror in his eyes.
I'm your huckleberry.
Ah! There it is.
Why,
Johnny Ringo. It looks like you've seen a ghost.
Johnny Ringo, you look like somebody just walked over your grave.
Sorry, looked like somebody just walked over your grave. Woo! I got goosebumps watching this scene, even though I misquoted it.
Fight's not with you, Holiday. I'll beg to differ, sir.
My fight's not with you, Holiday. I'll beg to differ, sir.
We started a game we never got to finish.
And he's super sick at this point. He's pale. He's sweating. He's smoking. We started a fight we didn't get to finish.
Play for blood, remember?
I love that little that little cough there. Play for blood, remember?
I was just fooling about.
I was just fooling about. He's like, no, come on, man. I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. He's like, no, you're not good.
I wasn't.
I was just fooling about. I wasn't. Oh, it is so awesome. I do own this movie, and I need to watch this.
And this time, legal. Say when.
Say when. He's deputized. Very similar to the Billy the Kid story in the Billy the Kid movie. Say when. Here we go. Good night. Woo! I'm going to say best Val Kilmer role of all time. Amazing movie. Yeah, every time this pops on TV, I just stop and watch it. Rest in peace, Val Kilmer. That was the best. And look into this story. Chet is saying that he just learned how Chicago sold the rights to all of its parking meter revenue to the United Arab Emirates for $1.1 billion in 2008. The city is currently collecting $150 million a year and growing in parking meter fees, and then they send it straight to Dubai until 2083. What the fork? I just love that picture. Oh, wait. How's the aspect ratio? Doggone it. If I messed up that last scene, because it probably cropped it. If I did, I'm sorry about that. I was looking at the wrong screen. Anyway, that's a story I was unaware of. And so we got to look this one up and look more into it. Sounds insane. All right, let's do a lightning round on X. By the way, hit like and hit subscribe however you're watching. If you're on YouTube or Facebook, you can do the heart button. You can do the thumbs up button. It engages all of your comments, show engagement. That's fantastic. You can send super chats on Rumble, by the way. And you I don't know about YouTube, but you can send super chats on Rumble. All right, Sonny Hostin is saying that Democrats oppose voter ID because it makes harder for the elderly and for women to vote. That's completely false. So don't let them get away with that. Milwaukee election officials reported ballot shortages at a number of voting sites due to historic turnout. So they get historic turnout where Elon is over there, where President Trump was there with all of the Republicans at the Republican convention in Milwaukee 6 months ago, on the heels of the most monumental, sweeping first 2 months of a presidential administration we've ever had. You're telling me Republicans bailed on that and voted for the radical leftist in the Supreme Court? I don't believe it. Something feels off there. So what was with the ballot count and running out of ballots? Let's investigate. Multiple counties, blah, blah, blah. They just learned the Milwaukee Election Commission, multiple sites either ran low or ran out of ballots. A UW Wisconsin Eau Claire unhinged professor identified as a man who assaulted the college Republicans and destroyed their table in support of Judge Brad Schimmel for Wisconsin Supreme Court. There he is. Someone like that shouldn't be teaching there, right? Yeah, Americans were happy that Elon is sacrificing so much. Scott Pressler really tried to get the vote out yesterday. It turns out that leftist got in anyhow. Thanks for your hard work, though. CNN encountered a Wisconsin patriot at the polls. He said it's a Republican versus an activist. I want to see what's going on in the country this very instant to continue, not stop. Senator Randy Fine won in Florida. People are upset with him because he wants Israel to get rid of all of the bad guys. But then they're saying, oh, get rid of them all means like women and children and like it's war crimes. And he's like, you know, how long does a nation have to get attacked before they just get rid of the attackers? You know, there's that debate. But Randy Fine defeated Democrat Josh Wheel to win Florida's 6th congressional seat vacated by Mike Walz. This is a key Republican hold. NASA and State Department employees are caught on tape revealing their genius scheme to defy Trump's executive orders on racist DEI activities. There's the video on Gateway Pundit. Yeah, here's a video about Islam seizing political and cultural control. And then, of course, it's, Takia, it's deception. And it was about putting in that place in Texas, 600 acres, 141 acres, Blue Ridge, Texas. The Korea was this massive Islamic enclave dubbed Korea of Princeton and Baladia planned for Blue Ridge, Texas. 141 acres annexed, but Sharia is prohibited there, so we'll follow that story. Charlie Kirk shares a story about a young man rejected from every college he applied to except for UMass Amherst, despite having a 1580 SAT, valedictorian of his class, and getting 185S on AP. I don't know what that means on AP tests, and having his own startup website, making thousands of dollars a year. The kid's talented enough, but why are we giving hundreds of billions of dollars to universities so stupid they won't offer this kid an admission because of his skin color? And let's be honest, that's why he was rejected everywhere. Was it, or is that? I mean, it might be true, but do you have evidence of that? Gunther Eagleman pointing out that the GOP infighting about the ability to vote from home cost us getting legislation passed, and that's absurd. Mike Lee said apparently Susan Crawford is okay with non-citizens voting. And it seems strange Wisconsin voters elected an avowed opponent of voter ID laws when on the same day they voted to adopt a statewide voter ID law. Are they trying to keep the universe in check? Maria Isabella saying the people who don't want a border wall, drug cartels, MS-13 rapists, sex traffickers, drug smugglers, and Democrats. Yeah, Wisconsin almost voted unanimously for President Donald Trump, voter ID. Then they voted a communist Supreme Court justice? How does that even happen? Republicans did pad the U.S. House majority with 2 Florida special election wins. This one was great. Netflix will begin selling their own popcorn for $4.49 a bag. The question, does it cost extra to share it with family? That's so good. CNN admits that Soros is okay because he hides in the shadows. Jake Tapper, Kara Swisher revealed the incredible double standard in political donor coverage. You don't see George Soros out there talking, right? I mean, they might be giving money to organizations. Swisher couldn't contain her contempt, mocking Elon's cheese hat, while Tapper suggested billionaires should stick to quiet background manipulation rather than transparent public endorsements. The mask slipped completely. CNN believes shadowy influence is preferable to open participation in democracy. Val Kilmer's last...
Wow.
Where he passed.
Oh, you look great.
Long battle with throat cancer.
I have an answer for us. It's been a while.
Long battle with throat cancer. Rest in peace, Val Kilmer. Rest in peace. Yeah, Top Gun star. He said of pneumonia or throat cancer. His daughter Mercedes confirmed. He was the Iceman in Top Gun. Batman and Batman Forever. Battled throat cancer since 2014. Extensive treatment, chemo, radiation, tracheostomy, which permanently altered his voice. Yeah, rest in peace, man. Here are county results in Wisconsin for voter ID. They all want it. But then look at how weird it was for the 20 counties where Republicans voted for voter ID, but not for Schimmel. Very bizarre. Very bizarre. Very bizarre. So, yeah, you're telling me Wisconsin like 10 minutes ago, Trump wins, but then suddenly Democrats won by 10 points? Sure, Jan. Out-of-state billionaires affecting it. And then something with Representative Anna Paulina Luna, get your house in order and do what they expect you to do. Catherine Harris, what the heck? They're wasting time. Part of the problem. Speaker Johnson, get it together because you're not doing well. There will be zero action this week on issues important, such as the SAVE Act and reining in rogue judges. It's madness. Anna Paulina Luna stepped away from a caucus, and it's just a lot of back and forth. Vicky says you're both losers and need to go. You can't think beyond your selfish needs and act like a spoiled brat and leave the country in dire straits. So keep an eye peeled on Anna Paulina Luna. Also, keep an eye peeled on the New American Media and all the places. Like I told you, search the New American Media. We are on Instagram, Facebook, Truth Social, Rumble, Odyssey, Twitch, Kick, DLive, and YouTube at the New American Media. We're on Telegram and Signal at TNAM and TNAM Chat. We're on X at American_media_. Sub to our podcast, The Agree to Disagree Show, on Spotify and Apple. That covers our TNAM AM show as well. You can link up with us. Like I said, you can do a super chat on Rumble. That's a way to contribute. You could also sign up on Patreon. I have new subscribers there. Thank you, everybody. Patreon.com/The New American Media. On Venmo at Brian Engelman, Cash App, $, Brian Engelman, and PayPal at Fuzz Installment. That helps keep the lights on over here. And of course, countervailing views, go to CISA.gov/rumor control, and the WHO and CDC websites. People, that is what I had prepared for you today. Iceman and a nice man. Yes. Gone too soon. Rest in peace, Val Kilmer. I'm going to watch Tombstone. I'm going to watch it. Special thanks to David and Bella's Choice and everybody else in the chat room. Thank you for participating in today's program. I'll be back tomorrow. Until then, I appreciate you. I love you. And we'll talk to you again soon. Take care. Peace.